Well, we're in beautiful Santa Barbara with the 2022 Harley-Davidson Nightster, resurrecting an old name from the Sportster family. 2006, I believe it debuted. And now, instead of the air-cooled motor that we all love, but it was kind of a heavy and not very powerful motor, now we've got a much more powerful motor, the Revolution Max 975T, which is a smaller motor than the Sportster 1250 S and the Pan America. But it's still got 90 horsepower, so this thing will blow away any air-cooled Sportster. 70 pound-feet of torque. Instead of the Sportster S, which looked kind of like a caricature, or a modern, a futuristic thing, this brings back some of the classic style from Sportsters of old. The walnut-shaped fuel tank, got the airbox cover there like the old air cleaners, and we got dual shocks instead of a hidden monoshock on the Sportster S. And we've got 3 inches of wheel travel now, which is much nicer than the 2 inches or so on the Sportster S. It's a sportier motorcycle despite being less power. Today we were riding in the canyons and this thing felt almost like a sport bike. We were ripping it up pretty good. Got 32 degrees of lean angle available. Scuffed my boots a few times, but had a really good time doing it. So the motor is really a peach. Unlike the old Sportster, this one revs to 9,500 RPM, so you've got a wide range of playground room there in its rev range. It's got variable valve time on the intake valves. The Sportster S has variable valve time in intake and exhaust, but this doesn't feel like it's lacking really much. It's got plenty of power and it pulls down low despite being able to rev to almost 10,000 RPM. So you had good grunt out of the corners even if you're running a gear high. Also new, kind of fangled, that the old Sportster never had, the rider safety enhancements package, traction control, anti-lock brakes, and so that gives you a little bit of peace of mind. Also, you got different ride modes, rain and road and sport. Rain was kind of interesting to use. It didn't rain today, but I could see somebody adapting to this being a first bike, leave it in rain mode, and you've got really smooth throttle response, and it's not going to get crazy and get away from you. Road mode was my preferred mode. Throttle response was pretty good, not quite as soft as rain. And then sport mode, it was kind of a jumpy thing, so even though I like the sporty nature of it, when you're riding corners and pick up the throttle, a little bit jerky. Instrumentation, very basic, just a speedometer, you got trip meters and clock and reserve fuel gauge instrumentation, but it's not like the newfangled TFTs on bikes. It's pretty basic, but it does the job. Up front is a little quarter fairing, adds a bit to the sport character of this bike, and the braking is quite good. It's a single disc up front, which for a sporty bike of this nature might not seem sufficient, but it actually did the job quite well. It's a Brembo, so it's quality hardware on this bike. So Harley-Davidson is selling this $13,500. It's a little bit expensive, but it's cheaper than a lot of modern liquid-cooled double overhead cam motor sport motorcycles that are around. So for $13,500, a Harley-Davidson can be parked in your garage. It's got some classic form and it's got a whole bunch of new tech. And I think it's a terrific balance of the old and the new. And in my preference, I'd prefer this over the Sportster 1250 S, even though that has more horsepower. So this is a great package. I could see somebody coming in new, and I could see somebody who's been riding for years who could get a lot of enjoyment out of this as well. So I'm really pleased with this Harley-Davidson and this Revolution Max motor. We're gonna see it roll out on future different models. And because this one's so good, I can't wait to see what those models are.